Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. I'm your host, Alexander Cruikshanks. Just had to fix the camera there, lights kind of in the way. But episode 26, after a week, midweek action in the SPFL, I'm joined by Ethan Barlow and Laurie Finlayson. Ethan, first of all, how you doing, mate? Did you enjoy the midweek games?
Yeah, I think I kind of put my sole purpose on maybe one of the worst ones with Celtic Aberdeen. Obviously, the hyped up fixture, the big two teams, but the other two fixtures seem to have more action, you could say. But yeah,
It's kind
good
of
game.
funny. I thought there was parallels with the English Premier League. The two hyped up fixtures seem to be the worst games out of all of them. So yeah, we'll get on to the Celtic game obviously, but I'd agree with you. It probably was the worst one out of the three. Maybe not for our other co-host Laurie, who, if he's looking at it not completely objectively, the worst game was probably his team's. Laurie, how you doing after that?
Oh well, I'm all right. We're here, but no, it really wasn't a good night for Kelly at all. Well, last night as we record this, and just pretty horrendous. We'll get into that, although I'm sure Alex, you're pretty pleased. I mean, I'm brave enough still to wearing my club colours, to be fair, but
Yeah, fair enough to you. But yeah, it was three games last night. Lots of goals. Was it 12 goals across the three games? So that's pretty good. So yeah, well, I think we'll start off with Celtic. The big game. Um, a lot of hype around it. If Celtic won, they would probably solidify their position. Jump ahead of Aberdeen. If Aberdeen won, they could maybe claw themselves back into that title conversation. But it was a closely contested game. Celtic had a lot of the ball, but Aberdeen, were quite good defensively. Celtic weren't breaking through a lot of the time. Aberdeen had a few chances, and Ethan, although they did get the result in the end, it really could have gone either way.
Yeah, I thought for watching the game, I thought for long periods that it was going to be enough in each draw. It looked like Aberdeen had kind of solved Celtic out for large periods of that game. I think Jimmy Tillene obviously learned from his Hampden experience, and they defended Celtic very well and limited Celtic to very little, especially in the first half. And there wasn't really much goal-mouth action at either end for Celtic or Aberdeen in that first half. The game kind of opened up a bit in the second half. Aberdeen had some good chances, but then kind of as the game got into the final 15 minutes and whatever, I think Celtic looked more likely to score than ever. Still wasn't all Celtic, but it looked like they maybe would get snatch a goal when they did, and a
Yeah.
crucial goal to be.
Even still, though, after you did score, Aberdeen had some late chances. An incredible goal saving block for Cameron Carter Vickers after a bit of a mishap from Austin Trusty, um, stopping the ball coming across, but he kind of gets caught on his heels and falls back, leaving it for Sockler to run onto it. But Carter Vickers throwing himself in front. And then I thought as a last chance for Aberdeen, a really poor cross from Bezewin. Is that how you say it?
I'm
I
I'm
thought I
not
thought
sure how you say it. 'Cause
I thought it was
he's one of
really
the
poor from him.
yeah.
What were you going to say there, Laurie?
I was gonna make a point on the Aberdeen winger or Dutch Aberdeen winger. He's a guy who he came into Aberdeen a few years ago with all sorts of hype. Who was it who brought him in? I want to say maybe even Stephen Glass, and then he ended up getting loaned back to Holland and stuff. Like he's just a guy who's never really kicked on. As for the pronunciation of his name, you hear Bezewin, as you said. I've heard Bezawin. I feel that might be Derek Ray's pronunciation.
Hmm.
I've definitely heard Derek Ray pronounce it. Um, so who knows what's right? I mean, he's a guy
Yeah.
who looks good technically, but something just doesn't always click for him.
No, it was. I just think when your last chance in the game, sort of just trying to blindly just hit it across is a bit. a bit silly. But anyway, Celtic did get the win. But I think there's not really much to talk about. Leighton Clarkson had a chance. Some good defending, some from Aberdeen, some good goalkeeping from a man who took a really big hit to the face, Duhan. Um, I thought he, made he would have made himself proud. I think with that individual performance, it's just unfortunate he couldn't keep the clean sheet. It was an excellent goal, beautiful pass through to Ray Tatu, who took it really, really well.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and big win for Celtic. And yeah, I'd say the sort of I think everyone kind of thought it already, but this is kind of a moment for them where they are probably champions elect.
yeah. Um, I think it's just a massive goal. I think if Aberdeen see the game out and get a clean sheet and get a point, then you kind of can see the gaps maybe forming in Celtic and how to play against Celtic. Um, but it never happened. Celtic got the goal. It does feel like a big goal, as I said. But Aberdeen I think, can be proud of their performance. They kept Celtic to scoring one goal, which I don't think's been done domestically this season. And I think Aberdeen are still a force to be reckoned with. Looks
Definitely.
like second place. Try to achieve that's maybe going to pass them by with Rangers closing the gap as we'll get on to. But I think if they can find a run of form again, they've got a squad and they've got a squad of players there that can maybe compete for. And they want to compete to at least get third. I know they are very well ahead, but it's important that they don't fall in a slippery slope like some teams I'm sure we'll get on to. But yeah,
Yeah,
Celtic the best. Alex Bailly and Paulo Bernardo were preferred to Arne Engels and Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor obviously comes in for a bit of criticism. He obviously comes on and provides the goal with that great pass. And Luke McCowan come on before Arne Engels, which I thought was also interesting. And I thought McCowan was pretty good when he came on. But yeah, Celtic weren't great, but they got the result. And it's important now that Aberdeen turn it around.
yeah.
I think that's they had 100% home record going into the game, so that kind of shows the level they've been at this season.
Just on your point about Aberdeen, I think you said, they still showed that even after their sort of sticky run recently, that they're a quality side with quality players, and I think I'd even go as far to say Jimmy Tilleen's maybe the second best manager in the division, um, based on what we've seen this season. So it's yeah, they definitely showed that they've still got quality. Shayden Morris coming off the right hand side again, Duke, really really good. So I think the Aberdeen fans should keep their heads up leading into the rest of the games, because by no means is their season over. But anyway, I think we'll move on to Dundee versus Motherwell. It was a really damning performance for Motherwell. I think early in the game they looked to be in it, but I think a lot of really poor defending, and they've suffered a defeat by 3 goals twice in a row. I think 2 wins in their last 8 now. And Laurie Stuart Kettlewell might starting to be coming under a little bit of pressure after such a good start. It's really fallen off for them.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think Stuart Kettlewell will be under a bit more scrutiny, although I'm quite sure Motherwell had a similar kind of time of it last season where they start really well and then everyone's like, why were the Motherwell fans hating on Kettlewell? And then they go on a run like this where they don't seem to be able to defend or rely on a young player's quality to pull them through. I mean, I'm not having to go at Lennon Miller there, but just you know. But it's proven how much they're relying on that one star player, and you kind of think on the off chance and it's maybe harsh to call it an off chance, if he leaves next month, which I have a gut feeling he will, you kind of wonder where that leaves Motherwell. Yeah, they'll reinvest the money, but like, will they actually invest it well? Because
Who do you think he goes to? Because I don't think if he goes to Celtic, he's not really in. Celtic aren't in need of reinforcements, Ethan. I don't think in the midfield.
No, definitely not. I think we seen with Luke McCowan obviously coming from another Premiership side that he can't, no matter how well he's playing, he can't get a starting position in these big games. Whether that'll change in the coming weeks, we'll see. But I think if Celtic were to invest in Lennon Miller, he probably would be loaned straight back to Motherwell. I think that's the kind of general consensus. But there's interest, obviously, I believe, down south as well. So yeah, I
Mm,
mean, he's highly rated
yeah,
across Britain, I think.
I hope I hope he doesn't go to the English Championship because I think a lot of talented Scottish players go down there and they don't ever really get out, do they? So, uh,
yeah, like, I kind of hope that he ends up. I know it's a bit kind of stereotypical now, but I kind of hope he ends up going abroad, be it to Italy or somewhere else, where he's actually going to
yeah,
be respected because they don't care that he's Scottish. Whereas down south, there's still this little bit of a kind of stigma around Scottish players. And like,
yeah.
why would
Well,
you sign them?
the Italians have actually started to put a bit of recognition on a bit of good press on Scottish players because I was talking to someone. We were actually at the East Kilbride game the other night, and we were talking about Scottish player. I was talking to a guy about Scottish players going to Italy and doing well, and he's saying Juve actually ran a training camp in the Glasgow or something, for Scottish kids. So that's it's really really. I think the Italians are recognising good players can come for here, and I think it's a path for young Scottish players to go, and it's good for them. I think there's another path to playing really really to reaching a high level because before it was either you go to Rangers or Celtic, in which you might break into the team, but you probably never will, and you'll end up on like 3 or 4 loans and then going to Dunfermline or something like that. And no offence to Dunfermline, but it's not really where you want to go in your career if you have high aspirations. And then, or go down south to Championship, and that's just where you'll be. So I think it's a great thing for young Scottish players to have more options to go and prove themselves. But yeah, anyway, moving on. So back to the game.
I was
So,
just gonna, sorry,
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna add to your point there. I didn't know about the Juventus thing. I think that's very interesting. But it's similar
It's
to,
complete. I haven't like double checked my source, but I just heard it for a guy at a football game. But yeah, I think he mentioned because his boy played in the played for a team and they were running a camp or something. So
yeah,
We do need to look into that. That's some sort of like investigative dugout thing. I don't know, but like that is class. I mean, Juve do have their links to British football as it is, 'cause of course. I mean, the original kind of when the kit's nicked off Notts County. I want to say there's some little link to Notts
yeah,
County.
it
I'm sure.
was. It actually was. They nicked their kit off in Notts County.
yeah, yeah. I didn't know that either. But
Yeah.
But I was going to say, we talked about when he was here, Ange Postecoglou using the sort of untapped markets in Japan. And that's what the Italian clubs will be doing as well. Scotland's a market where you can go in and get a good player for cheap. We always rave on about the best players in the league and how much money they should go for and how
Oh
much
yeah,
English
we
players should go
sorry,
for. So,
we're in the top 10, top 11 sort of leagues in Europe. But if you look at those other divisions, the prices that like Eredivisie is like seventh or eighth, I think they're not far away from us. And you're getting 100 million for the likes of Anthony and stuff like that. I don't think our divisions are that far apart in quality in terms of the
Agreed.
top teams. So it is yeah, it's definitely a place where teams can come in and undercut the usual market value of inflated prices. Like even like Matt O'Reilly, if he played for Ajax, he'd be like 60, 70 million. So it
probably,
is
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely one that I think the Italians are starting to take advantage of.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good route for the Scots. You've seen Josh Doyes go over there. I know they're in the second division now, but I think they're top. So Swallow, and they'll probably come straight back up. Then obviously you've got two of the best midfielders in the league. You could say Lewis Ferguson and Scott McTominay. You could also add Billy Gilmore um, into that
Aaron
category.
Hickey made his way out in
Aaron
Bologna
Hickey,
as well. So
yep.
it's really good for Scottish young players. But yeah, I hope Lennon Miller, if he doesn't go to Celtic or maybe Rangers, I hope he takes the chance to go abroad if it's presented to him. But anyway, back to the game. Dundee take the lead through a beautiful goal. On that topic, we forgot to do goal of the week for the episode the other day, so we're going to try and like put the weekend's goals and last night's goals in, and we'll vote on it. So, but yeah, Alawimi with that contender, absolute beautiful finish, curling into the top corner. Dundee take the early lead. Motherwell equalise through their Greek striker. I,
Go on. Go on.
I, I can't think off the top of my head. Is it Stamatopoulos or something?
Yeah, that
Uh,
Apostolos Stamatelopoulos, something like that.
Stamatopoulos or something. Right.
Stamathilopoulos, there we
I
go.
apologise to any Greeks for the botched pronunciation, but you do have famously difficult names to pronounce.
Well, I
Um,
think he's Australian. He's Australian, but
well,
obviously,
Greek Australian.
Greek,
So
yeah,
he's,
Greek
Oh
name.
yeah, I keep
so,
calling him the Greek striker, but he's
yeah.
actually Australian.
So
Uh,
he's another Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah, they equalise through him, sort of, and then he creates another really good chance for himself that's saved really well by John McCracken and then going into the half. But then in the second half, Dundee put the pressure on. Some really, really poor defending, I think, from Motherwell. Scott Tiffany with a really nice goal, but I think the last sort of two goals are really, really poor defending.
yeah. I think we were speaking about on last episode about Motherwell maybe fall into a little rut. That's what I mentioned earlier in this episode about the team that's fallen down a slippery slope. Yeah, and it's not looking good for Motherwell at the moment. Obviously Dundee overtake them in fifth. But yeah, as you said, especially the last three goals look very avoidable. I mean, one of the third goal comes. No, sorry, the second goal comes from a Motherwell corner. I
Yeah, and
think Stuart
they
Kettle.
all stopped as well because they wanted it stopped for a head injury to Kofi Balmer.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Stuart Kettlewell was complaining after the match about that. But Kofi Balmer was on the wrong end of all three of the second half goals. The
As
first one,
see for just on their second goal though, obviously if he did have a serious head injury, it should have been stopped, right? However,
Mm.
what you get taught from a very, very like when you start kicking a ball at five is play to the whistle. And they didn't, they stopped and then they started playing and then by that time Scott Tiffany was already in a prime position and he put it away. So I think it's a bit of blame for both the referee and the players.
Definitely.
yeah.
I mean,
What were you going to say? On you go, Laurie.
but I was kind of going off the back of Alex's point of, well, it's, you say play to the whistle, basic stuff. I mean, let, let's face it, just stop the goal, and then the rest of it take care of itself later. Because let's face it, as soon as the ball goes out, or even goes in this case, like play's gonna stop anyway.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
I mean, the play maybe should have been stopped, but like you know, Dundee were never gonna put it out when they were in, when they were throwing goal or anything like that. So
yeah, definitely. Um,
um,
so I just want to make, we were talking about young Scottish talented midfielders there. One maybe didn't show his ability in this game. but the other got a couple of goals. Ethan, your main man, Lyle Cameron, showing his stuff week in week out.
Yeah,
You really like him, don't you?
yeah, I think he's a good player. I think he's kind of filled the void left by Luke McCowan. He was obviously the captain, Luke McCowan, a big responsibility in the midfield, and I think Lyle Cameron's kind of taken on that mantle of
Yeah, it
being.
took him a while though, because I remember we were talking about on this pod that how important really was Luke McCown when Dundee were going through that terrible spell, but he's really stepped up, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think he's out of contract at the end of the year, as a lot of Dundee players are, at the end of the summer, sorry. As a lot of Dundee players are, so they'll be looking to sign him up because I think there'll be a lot of clubs sniffing in and around him. And I've got to give a mention to Mo Salah. Apparently, I've seen a lot of people saying he was brilliant, and I had him in my worst team of the season.
Well, you also
So
had Mohamed Diamande as a contender, which I don't understand. I know he's not been great, but he's not been worst team of the season standards, I
yeah,
don't know.
I think that's based off kind of his potential and what I can see in him. But yeah,
Okay.
that was very harsh. But yeah, Dundee, brilliant. Kind of, they weren't dominant in the game. I
No.
think they
Uh,
they scored
uh,
4 goals from less than half unexpected goals. So very clinical, like the game at Rugby Park. They score out of not very much. And I think they're the third top scorers in the league and the third most conceded goals. So kind of the same trend as last season under Tony Docherty.
yeah.
And I think they've just got to be a wee bit more consistent defensively, and they'll be right in with a shout of European football this season.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. If you, it's kind of funny if 2 or 3 weeks ago, if you said Dundee would be ahead of Motherwell, I would have probably laughed at you. But it's funny how quickly football can change.
yeah,
And it's yeah, it's a great result for Dundee, but for Motherwell and Stuart Kettlewell, they really need to pull it together quickly, or else Ethan, as you said, they could keep going down that slippery slope. Okay, so moving on to the final game of the night, and as you can tell, what you can probably tell what game we're going to be talking about by the big grin on my face, and when we get to Laurie, the scowl on his. So Rangers 6, Kilmarnock nil. Ethan, I'll just come to you first to get your thoughts because I think me and Laurie are going to be talking about this for a good while.
yeah, yeah. Not much to say. I think Rangers just brilliant on the night. Kelly not so. I think Rangers just blew Kilmarnock away. And it's a real kind of, you could say, statement performance from Rangers. They've obviously, the fans have been looking for a performance like that where they've just dominated the opponent and got a few goals to boot, and that's what they gave them. I don't know if it'll be the best performance of the season, like Clement said about the other 6-0 win earlier in the season, but yeah, it was a really good result, and I think it's the first time Rangers have got 3 or more wins in the bounce in September, so it kind of shows the kind of
Oof.
recent form that they've been in. But this can be a turning point to build up some momentum going into that massive game halfway through December.
Yeah, I'll just get the negative out of the way. Too little, too late. For Rangers with that performance, I'll just get that out of the way first before because I am extremely pleased. But if you're looking at it in the grand scheme of the season, if they wanted to compete, they should have been putting in performances like that. Not always 6-0s, but the quality of play from the start. But anyway, um, yeah, I'm extremely happy with that. From start to finish, I think Rangers were absolutely excellent. Some really good play in there, and I think that front line is the way forward. And obviously, having one sitting, there was sort of a tactical change. It was one sitting midfielder instead of the usual two. I think that confused the Kilmarnock backline a little bit. I'm sort of ripping points from sports scene, but I did notice it myself.
Was it?
Yeah,
I was just going to say it was like a 4-4-2 almost, wasn't it?
kind of, yeah, but it was so loose, not lucid because that's clear. It was so
Like
loose is what I meant to say.
kind of flexible. Yeah,
yeah, flexible because
kind of
they were just all
fluid, right? Yeah,
yeah fluid. There we go. They were all interchanging with each other, and there was so many standouts. Hadji, I think I said to Laurie and maybe you as well, Ethan. When Hadji came on against Dundee United, I kind of went, "Oh yeah, that's what it's like to have a real number 10." And I think he really showed it again last night. He was brilliant, and we'll just jump on to the goal, the opening goal. That cross for Tavernier was something else. The bend and the sort of whip on it. It was pinpoint, and it was a great finish from Tav. It could have been a lot more in the first half. Hamza Igaman had a really good chance that he missed, and then he did but he didn't let that like deter him. He did like a heel to heel skill move, just curled it over the bar, and then he had like a back heel flick that was saved really well by Robbie McCrory. One point I do want to make that's going to sound really weird. I thought Robbie McCrory was quite good, even though they get beat 6-0. It sounds odd, but I thought he was actually okay. And until Joe Wright had to come off with a head injury, hope he's okay. I thought he was okay as well. Another one who was all right. They got into our worst team of the season, but yeah, yeah. Rangers were. It could have been 4 or 5 in the first half. I think Robbie McCrory was the reason it wasn't. But in the second
definitely.
half, oh, what were you saying, Laurie?
I was saying definitely Rob McCrory was the reason. I mean, maybe it does sound weird if you hadn't watched the game or hadn't caught the highlights, but Roy McCrory did really well. It honestly stopping that, double figures in the end up. And
Yeah.
as for Joe Wright, the last update was he actually had to go to a hospital for a scan, but I haven't heard how that actually,
Oh, that's not good then.
not good at
Because he
all.
got into a clash of heads with Raskin. Raskin get bandaged up, and he looked like the worst off of the two. 'Cause Joe Wright was up, and then a few minutes later, Joe Wright was sitting down, kind of signalling, going, "I can't continue." I don't know what was up with him, if he was dizzy or whatever, but it must have been something
Yeah,
for him. Might have been feeling sick. So yeah, I hope he's okay. Because head injuries are a serious thing. And I think in football they've sort of been ignored over the years, and I think more attention needs to be drawn to them. There's always been
definitely.
more focus in stuff like American football and rugby because those are really high contact sports. But obviously, if you're heading a ball every day your life for years and you're getting into challenges and stuff, it can affect you. So I hope Joe Wright's okay, and I hope he gets the proper treatment. But yeah, back to the football. Oh, this sounds like I'm joking and trying to take the mick, but there were so many goals I've lost the order. Um, what was the second? The second was
Oh,
It
I can't
was
even think now, to be
Danilo's.
honest, either.
it was Danilo's. It was Danilo's, right. So Danilo had a chance before that was saved really well from Robin McCrory, but it was relentless from Rangers. They picked it up again. They worked it out to the left hand side. Hadji, great ball in. Hadji again, and a nice finish from Danilo to make it 2-0. Kamara seemed to really struggle down the wings with Rangers play. I thought the whole game, and we'll get on to a couple more goals that came from down the sides. The third goal was a really brilliant strike from Hamza Agaman. Some poor defending, I thought. Corin Daba was terrible on the night, and I think he got the brunt of the blame for this one. But Brad Lyons did initially lose it in the midfield. Laurie made that point to me last night when we were talking about it. He's a brave man,
Who-
Laurie. He was talking about the game
Yeah,
with me straight after it, and it was a great
very
strike from
brave.
Hamza Agaman.
I'm now trying to think whether it was Lyons or Watson, but someone in our midfield or so-called midfield loses it,
Oh yeah, I
and
think Lions or David Watson
I
loses.
think it might have been Watson that had the last touch, but it might have been a Lions pass that kind of put him
like
under pressure.
Ah, right, okay.
I'm
Anyway,
not
but
too. I think that was how it went, but I'm not too sure.
Anyway, it was a great strike from Hamza. Good man, don't take anything away for that. That's another goal of the week contender, I'd say. Um, yeah, and then Raskin with a bit of individual brilliance lays it off for Czerny, puts it away for four. Some great play down the left hand side, interchange Jeffy. So the ball out to Jeffy, heads it down the line to Hadji into Berami, who dinks it round for Jeffy, who puts it first time ball across for Cyril Dessers, who got subbed on. That was his first of the night. And then brilliant play down the right hand side this time. Tav into Kieran Dow. Kieran Dow, I think he does really well because the initial pass is quite heavy. He gets a touch on it and then he sort of stabs it outside for Tav, plays it in for Dessers to make it 6. And it was a superb performance from Rangers. The only thing is, I've got the fear now that Dessers will start on the weekend because he got a brace. I I know that sounds silly, but I really don't want him to start because I think that attack was just excellent all over. But Laurie, I'm sure you'll have a bit of belly aching uh, about your Kilmarnock performance because it wasn't great. Some really poor individual performances and as a team.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. I mean, and you said I was brave enough to I was brave enough to chat to you, and like shortly after the game, and but like Derek McInnes said it post match as well. For teams like Kilmarnock and like any team going to Ibrox or Celtic Park or anything like that, if you go there and the opposition shows their quality and you lose 2 or 3-0, right? Fine, it happens. But the reality is, last night we did not even get started. Didn't really do the basics well enough. We managed to just about hold our own for what, the best part of half an hour. But then after that, the floodgates just open. I mean, and you mentioned it when you kind of had your had your moment there, Alex, like where Roy McCrory keeps us in the game, and then the loss of Jory as well kills us because we know that our defence at the minute is pretty like threadbare, especially with Stuart Finlay out, and that makes a massive difference. Not to make an excuse for how poor we were, because there was so many like basic errors throughout the team. I mean, some of the passing was horrendous, and we mentioned Brad Lyons a moment ago. He was probably the worst culprit for it. And I remember joking, Alex, about it was like the Man United game in the 90s where Sir Alex Ferguson changed his kit at half time because the players couldn't see each other in the grey shirts. That's almost what it looked like. I mean, that of course didn't happen, but that is really how bad it looked at times. And just in terms of going forwards, we never even really got forward. We only had what, a single shot,
Yeah, one
and
one shot. It wasn't even well. It might have been on target, but it was blocked by John Shooter. The effort from Marley Watkins really early
Ollie
in the game.
Watkins.
In comparison, Rangers had 28 shots, 11 of them on target. In the first half as well, we had 1.58 expected goals in comparison to the previous two league matches with St Johnstone and Dundee United. I think it was triple. And overall, in the whole game, we had 3.6 expected goals, and we overperformed our XG as well, which is something that you can't really say for Rangers in recent times, and even still having a healthy XG as well. It really was refreshing. But the hope is for us Rangers supporters, and I'm sure from Philip Clement, is they build on that. They go to Ross County and they comfortably win. Because if it goes to Ross County and it's another slog and it's same back to normal, this performance means nothing. So I think it's important to build on it with, like I think Ethan alluded to it earlier, a really important game mid-December. That's going to be a tough week because we'll get Rangers will get Spurs and then Celtic, and then in a couple of weeks again they'll get Celtic again. So it's going to be a tough month for Rangers, I think. The Celtic play Villa in December, or is that not till January?
That's January.
All right. Who do Celtic have? In the
Uh, Dinamo Zagreb away.
right, okay. Well, that could be a tough fixture as well. You're not going away
Yeah,
to Croatia. It's always
Croatia.
in these Eastern European countries. They always bring a big atmosphere, so it could be tough. But yeah, Rangers need to build on this performance and sort of take it forward. I'm not saying they need to win every game 6-0, but I'm saying they need to go and beat Ross County convincingly,
Yeah,
for it to
yeah,
mean something.
Definitely. And another thing, just for the both of you as well. And I really don't mind your answer. I genuinely want to know, because I'm not entirely sure where I stand. Are Kilmarnock in some sort of relegation battle here? Because it's honestly
yes,
not looking great. Yeah, you say we are,
Yeah,
Ethan.
yeah. I think
yeah.
so. I think with the kind of form, what is it? No wins in five.
Well,
Yeah,
they got a single point in November. They'll be hoping to have a better December, but it's not started off great for them.
no,
And I think with Hibs looking quite good, Hearts obviously aren't playing super well, but I think they're better than Kilmarnock are right now.
yeah.
Kilmarnock should be worrying about slipping to the bottom of the table, unfortunately, Laurie.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
it's hard to take, and I'll let you go in a second, even because the only thing that I'm personally clinging to is the fact we've got a fair few home games coming up. But other than that, like, there's nothing really positive to cling to. I mean, we've got injuries in key positions. I mean, the likes of Stuart Finlay being out. You've got like just well, suspensions always come with the territory. I mean, also Liam Donnelly was uh, was missing last night. And I mean, it might have been the worst team of the season, and he disciplined awful. A guy like that is actually what we miss in games like against Rangers and such like.
Yeah, because he was
Uh,
okay. I know he had a couple of moments with ill-disciplined moments against Celtic, but he was all right against Celtic at Rugby Park as well, wasn't he? So
yeah.
but,
Um,
but we
as
just looked very weak last night.
Yeah. Um, I think, as you mentioned, Kelly are obviously suffering from some big injuries. The best defender and arguably best player this season. Um, but yeah, worst defence in the league for Kelly. It's really not looking good for McInnes. Um, I'm I'm confident they can turn it round. But I would say, yeah, they're definitely in a relegation battle.
I think out of the three or four teams sort of in there, he probably is the best manager. So
Yeah,
he might not have the best crop of players, but he's the one you'd trust to find a winning formula. So
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I
I
wouldn't.
mean, I'm set.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Kilmarnock fans, that obviously it's not looking good, but I wouldn't start panicking yet because he's. I think the majority of yous have lost faith in him before, but he's proved himself. I know, Laurie, you've never really quite lost faith in him, but a lot of the Kilmarnock support have. So I reckon message to Kilmarnock fans, just stick with him because he's proved himself time and time again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I would like to back up that. I mean, you're right. A lot of Commandant fans did lose faith in McInnes, and and it was probably somewhat more justified than now. You do see some people say things after games and whatever. I mean, one thing I will say to the kind of anti-McInnes people that maybe they do have a point with is sometimes Derek McInnes doesn't take responsibility for things that do fall on him. Not so much last night, but like there's a general point. However, this isn't really on McInnes because when you're standing on the sidelines and your team are playing like that and the opposition are on fire, what can you do? You're helpless.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry,
Sorry, I
Ethan. I
was
was
just
just going to
going to
say,
say, on you
Jinx.
go.
Nah, I was just going to say, on Laurie's point there, I think it was a combination. I think we mentioned it for Celtic at the weekend. It was a combination of Rangers being excellent and Kelly being so poor. And like I think we've already mentioned a couple of individuals. I think it's a shame because it's a young player, but I thought Oliver Bainbridge was absolutely terrible as well. He started off fairly well, but then he got run. He let Tavernier run off for the goal, and then from there it was downhill, and he lost it. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight. Laurie mentioned it to me last night. This is the first time he's properly seen him, and he appreciates that he's quite a good player. Um, Hamza Agaman was excellent as well last night. There were so many top performers, but I think this is one of the ones. This is probably his best performance in the league. He's done well in Europe, and but this is his best performance in the league, and hopefully he can build on that. Because I think we've said before, he's you can't expect 10 out of 10s from him every week because he's still adapting to a new culture, a new language, new country, new temperatures, everything. But he was really really good last night.
Yeah, and I think, well, as we mentioned, Rangers were obviously very good in general, and I think the difference from the sort of performance at the weekend, I think I mentioned, I love my expected goal stats, but it was the least expected goals Rangers had conceded there at the weekend, and it was even less last night. So they're having that dominance in the game. The difference between the weekend and this was that they had that creative prowess. Hadji was really on his game. The sort of, as you mentioned, the switch up of the kind of setup really helped Rangers. Unfortunate for Connor Barron because how well Rangers played last night, he might be out the team for the next game and games to come if Raskin,
Yeah,
Hadji, Diamandi are all playing like they did last night.
yeah, Raskin's one as well that I think is just. I think I said if he in our team of the season so far, if you asked me in a couple of weeks' time, I'd swap him in, and he's absolutely everywhere. I think he's got a nickname for Belgium, the Pitbull, and I think that's sort of what you see when he's on the ball. I think initially when he came in, he was sort of profiled as a all Belgian midfielder, and your mind jumps to Kevin De Bruyne. You know, nice to watch and that, but he is nice to watch, but in a way where he's quite rough, and he gets stuck in. But that's you love to see that, and especially in the Scottish game, we've got appreciation for those kind of hard grafting players. So um, yeah, brilliant from, and I don't see a reason why he doesn't go with the same lineup, um, unless there's any freak injuries, which seems to be a theme with Rangers this season. I think he should go with the same lineup, and the skipper as well. I think has played himself back into the team.
Yeah, and I think if we're being honest, I don't think Rangers, especially in domestically, don't need both Raskin and Connor Barron in a team together.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
they
you can
do.
go with
In Europe, it's a really good combination. They're just taking everything up. But yeah, I totally agree with you there.
yeah, and Hadji has been pretty good since he's been back in Clement's plans. And last night was probably his best performance yet. But yeah,
He's
it's
up.
really
He's up to 3 league assists already.
yeah. So yeah, they've got that. It's more a more balanced team with him alongside Raskin or Barron. And I think Barron was probably signed as maybe a backup to Raskin or to compete with Raskin. It was just the Raskin injury which threw Barron in, and obviously Connor Barron's been one of Rangers' best players this season. But same as maybe you can compare it to the likes of Liam Scales at Celtic, one of Celtic's best players in the early part of the season.
Stopgap.
Yeah, but when the quality that you brought in previously or for Celtic brought in recently comes in, their first choice.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think as well with those players sort of coming to the forefront, it's really good. I think it has been really poor from Rangers, and I'm not making excuses. But there's been a lot of issues this season again with injuries and Hadji's situation. Hadji's situation was all the club's own doing, but having him in is almost like a new player, and we've got players coming back. Ridvan on the bench coming back, although I can't see him breaking into the team with the way Jeffy's been playing. But it's positive at Rangers right now. But like I said, we need to build on it, so we can make it. I don't know, maybe at least make it uncomfortable for Celtic going towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Anyway, that's that for this week's games. Do you want to do the goal of the week then now? I'll just read out the sort of four contenders that I've kind of got in mind, and we'll all kind of vote.
Yeah.
So I've got Bobby Wales versus Dundee, Cal McGregor versus Ross County, Alawumi versus Motherwell, and Hamza Agaman versus Kilmarnock. So I'll just come to you first, Ethan. Who are you going for out of those?
No bias, but I'm going to go with Cal McGregor. I think
Yeah,
it was the best strike. Was the top scorer in the league. Obviously, I think Czerny and Dessers have now equalled him at the top. But yeah, I'm going to go with Cal McGregor.
right, Laurie.
For me, well, it's between two, and I think I know, unfortunately for myself, what way it's going to go. So, my heart says Bobby Wales because, great, natural instinctive first, my young player, first time as well. Um, but I kind of want to maybe echo Ethan and just give it to Callum McGregor. It was a top quality strike from a player who we've always known has got cracking goals in him, but doesn't always show it. So probably going McGregor, isn't it?
Yeah, wow. So Cal McGregor takes it. I was actually going to go with Alawumi, but yeah.
No, that's a very good goal. A very good goal. But I
So
just go with McGregor. I think McGregor's is just it's too sweet a strike. It's just unsavable. Yeah, I'll just go with McGregor. But it
okay.
was very close between.
No, that's fair enough. It was Cal McGregor was a great goal. All of them were really good goals. I thought. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're the goal of the week contenders. But yeah, all of them were really good goals. But yeah, Cal McGregor takes it. I've got no issue with that. It was a great strike from him. Right, so only three games this week. So Ethan, I think you've got a couple of things you want to bring up to sort of make it a bit make this episode a bit meatier. Um,
Um, yeah, I was going to look ahead to the Scottish Cup games. There's a few interesting games. Rangers hosting Fifth Division Fraserburgh. I'm not too sure on how you pronounce that one.
You got
But
it right first time.
Yeah, Fraserburgh. Yeah, I thought so. And obviously, me and Laurie's team will be going up against each other, which is quite probably one of the most boring draws of the round. We've also got a Dundee derby, which will be very entertaining.
yeah,
And yeah, and you've got Clydebank going to Easter Road, which I think will be quite entertaining as well. We've also got the weekend's fixtures to look ahead to, so we could do a few predictions for the games, who we think will win.
okay, yeah, definitely.
Aberdeen v St Johnstone, who we got.
Um, oh, I would jumping into that now. I was just going to quickly talk about some of the Scottish Cup things.
All right, okay, all right, yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Massive financial boost for Fraserburgh. It's like Bucky Thistle last season going to Parkhead, so it'll be a good day out for them. And well, maybe if they could get something, it would be monumental. Hopefully not, but because
Have Rangers and Fraserburgh not played each other relatively recently? Perhaps maybe up north as opposed to Ibrox, maybe not. It might be.
I have no idea.
Let me see.
Some of them are
WP.
going to play, but either way, as you say, it's massive for Fraser, massive probably for the town as well as the football club, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
like, did the Scottish Cup have like the kind of 50-50 like revenue split?
I'm not sure. It might do.
And if it does, what are you talking there? Let's assume Ibrox won't be absolutely full. Let's say they're probably getting like 20,000 tickets worth, so that's not bad.
Yeah, it's
If it is a
probably.
kind of 50 split, like,
Yeah,
aye.
it's a good amount of money for a fifth division team, and yeah, you were right, Laurie. Did host Rangers back in 2018, and a certain man scored a hat trick. Who was it, Alex?
Tavernier.
No, it was Josh Windass.
Ah,
Oh, uh, uh, uh,
Bit of a strange one. But
yeah.
anyway, yeah, that was it. So present
Another
moment in Ian.
another tie as well. I think it's interesting. Elgin City hosting Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, very
That,
much the kind of
that
northern
could
one
be
there.
good.
But
I think Livingston could take something off of Ross County as well,
Yeah.
judging by how the
definitely.
teams have been playing. But anyway, do you want to talk about the weekend now, Ethan? Get some predictions
Yeah,
in.
I was just going to give us some predictions, or it doesn't have to be score wise, just who we think will win. First game, Aberdeen v St Johnstone.
I think Aberdeen bounce back and they win fairly comfortably. I'll give a score prediction. I'll say 2-0.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'll back that up. If you want to predict, I'll give my next goal. I'll say, or next two goals, actually, I'll say 3-1 Aberdeen, but I think it'll be fairly comfortable.
Um, I'm gonna go with 2-1 Aberdeen. But I think Aberdeen will win. The next game, at Celtic Park. I think this is the third time they're playing this season. Celtic host Hibs. So it could be an interesting game. Obviously, both teams on form. I'll
Or
give
4-2 to Celtic.
yeah.
Um,
That's just my gut instinct. I don't know why.
that could be an interesting game then. I'll say 3-0 Celtic.
I'm gonna go with 2-0 Celtic. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's my prediction. Next one, your team, Laurie, heading to Tannadice. Dundee United v Kilmarnock.
Right. Is that an invitation for me to go first? Right.
Yeah, if you'd like.
This is not what I want to happen, but I'm just gonna say what I think will happen. 1-0 Dundee United.
I'm gonna go with
Right.
2-1 to Dundee United.
I'm gonna go 3-1 Dundee United.
Oh,
We'll have that faith in Kelly. I think they will turn it around, as I said, but I don't think Tannadice will be the place to do that.
No.
Next one, this is an interesting game. Hearts hosting Dundee.
two
Oh,
each.
two each. Okay, all right.
I'm gonna say 1-0 Hearts.
Oh, I'm gonna go with 3-2 Hearts.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right.
Yep. And the final game of the Saturday, the second to last game of the weekend, St Mirren hosting Motherwell.
Oh, stinker game for the centuries. I'm gonna go with 2-1 to St Mirren.
All right.
And I'll say 2-0 to St Mirren because I don't see Motherwell scoring.
I'll go 2-1 St Mirren as well. I
Okay.
think Motherwell sneak a goal, but I think they suffer their fourth defeat on the trot and fall out the top six. Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
Because St Mirren are just behind them. And then on the Sunday, the final game, Ross County host Rangers. Obviously, the last time the teams met at Dingwall, Ross County won. So Rangers will be going there for revenge. And I expect them to get revenge. I think it will be 3-0 Rangers.
That's what I'm thinking as well. 3-0.
Yeah, I think I'll go along with that because Rangers, well, going by last night, will take some stopping, so 3-0.
Yep.
Alright.
Well, I think that's everything from me.
Yeah, okay. That's it for. I think that's it for this week's episode. It's been a good one. Obviously, sort of back to back episodes with the 25th one going out on the yesterday actually on the match day. Some scheduling errors from us because we couldn't do it on Monday, and then I recorded it on the Tuesday, but it was late, and our editing man Laurie can't be worked to the bone, so he got it out on the Wednesday. So it was
It's
yeah,
before the
but
game,
yeah,
anyway.
it was before the game, so it'll be a quick fire couple of episodes. But yeah, this was a good one. Talking about this week, well, maybe better for me than Laurie, but yeah, thank you to everyone for watching and listening to this episode of the Dugout. Go and check out the Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Thank you and goodbye.